Welcome to today's episode of Talk the Talk, where we chat about it all with me, your host, Huss. We share incredible stories with incredible guests. A big thank you to you guys for all the support, and let's get stuck right into today's podcast. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Talk the Talk. So today's a very interesting episode because I have someone on the pod that I've actually worked with for the past almost 3 years, which is crazy. She is not only a campaign planning and operations director at O Media, she is also a podcast host. She's kicked cancer's ass, and I am very, very excited to have you on today. Sammy, welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Huss. Yeah, it's funny to be A, sitting in a studio, and B, on the other side of a mic. So
how does it feel being on a podcast that isn't yours?
Yeah, a little bit crazy so far, just because the podcast that I do, and I know that we'll get into that, but we do predominantly virtually. So, you know, I'm behind the screen, have my notes in front of me, etc. But yeah, being in a podcast studio is, I like it. It's a new experience.
We've got the light, we've got the 2 cameras.
Yeah, all the stuff set up. Huss, you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And thank you for that intro. Very, very kind of you.
Of course. So should we just get stuck right into it?
Get into it.
Okay, so for the people who don't know you, who have never met you before, have never heard your podcast before, have never come across you on LinkedIn before from your corporate career, how would you describe what you do, who you are, just all that stuff?
Okay, so personally, I'm quite a loud, energetic person.
I can confirm.
Yep. Anyone that knows me knows that, and anyone that doesn't know me probably has heard me, especially those around the office. Professionally, as you said, I'm campaign planning and operations director at O Media. I am coming up to 10 years there this year.
Wow.
What else? Kicked cancer's ass. Yes, we'll go into that too. But coming up to the anniversary of that diagnosis. I live a pretty full life, and
You chatted a bit about, I feel like let's start off with your huge corporate career that you've had 10 years. How did you first get started within the industry? So we're in the media space, the advertising space. How did you first get stuck into that space of work?
Great question. And it's funny because I had an 8.5-year career in telco before that. I know I look young, but I am pushing closer to 40 these days. So to get into media, I think I just want to take it back just to the telco career, because I do think it's important to start there. But I was working local to home, doing a job there, sort of became a team leader in that for that company. They're called IME. Grew up sort of in that business, and then went traveling for 4 months by myself. Came back, kept doing my thing there. Then I resigned and went traveling again. And during that time, I actually applied for a job at what was then known as AdShell. Not really having any idea what out-of-home media.
And AdShell was it fresh at the time still?
No, AdShell had been around quite a while. Yeah. It was actually I was only at AdShell really as it was for about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was back 2016, and I applied for a role there as what was then known as a media planning coordinator.
Wow.
So somewhat similar to I think the role that you're doing right now, but back then it was called media planning. At the time it was only classic street furniture, and I applied for the role not really knowing what I was getting into, but to be honest, the website really caught my eye. Lots of pink and colours, and I got a call and got an interview, and I went in, and they noticed that I had team leader experience in my previous role, and they said, actually, there's a role as a team leader here, because the girl at the time was going into a project role for a while. So I was like, oh, okay, team leader, new industry, new industry, new role, new company. And I took it, and that's where I started.
When you first started, what was your initial thoughts of the industry, and did you see I guess this is a 2-parter. So, what was your initial thoughts of the industry when you first entered, and did you see your growth happening like it did? Was it something you planned? Was it something you kind of worked towards? How did it all come together?
Great question. wow, the industry was so different back then. And like when I think about how much change has happened in the industry, like as I said, there wasn't really digital. Like we were just sort of rolling out some digital screens from street furniture perspective. At that point, Adshell was only street furniture, and we had Sydney Trains at the time, so and a bit of rail. So I think the industry was really exciting. I got to learn so much early on. Like I went and did my own poster pick and that kind of thing, which was a bit fun. Like go out to the warehouse and actually see campaigns that I had booked myself in the system and then see the posters and got to pick them. And then when you sort of see them in the bus stops as you're driving past, thinking, wow, that how would I have ever known that this was a job before then?
And it's like once you see out of home, out in public, you can never unsee it. Hey,
never.
Even on our drive here, you were looking up at billboards as you were driving.
Literally unmissable. Anyway, that's a funny quote for O. What was the second part of that question?
Like with the growth that you've had throughout your career, was it something that you kind of planned to work towards? Was it something it kind of just happened very naturally? Like how did that kind of happen for you? Like what was the process like? How did you find it?
Honestly, like I think my career growth, I want to say I've been really lucky. Like I've worked really, really hard, but I wouldn't say that I have had like a list of goals or like this idea that I wanted to be the next team leader, be the next manager, be the next CEO. You know what I mean? Like I believe I have a really good work ethic, and I think probably my strength is building relationships. And I think I've always had really supportive leaders, which has been really good because they have sort of helped push me in directions that I wouldn't have otherwise known to go.
Yeah. Would you say that mentorship side probably came in as a big part in terms of like learning and growing and seeing what parts of like I guess growing in corporate was? Is that did that make a big difference for you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like with, you know, as I said, Adshell was only Adshell for 2 years when I was there, and then O Media bought Adshell. And I think at that time, that was like the first major change that I'd gone through in terms of like there was lots of redundancies, lots of change happening. Like, we're trying to figure out how to, you know, do the booking process of the Adshell way of working. And I was really fortunate that I was in a position that really at that point no one at O could do. So I got to sort of be absorbed in, and I think that was like the first turning point where my career really grew. I got to take on more products in terms of like what we're selling out of home and how to book and new systems and projects and people.
What was that transition like? I guess transitioning from, I guess, something that you originally knew to something that you also knew but was a bit different. What was that like?
I think I've always been quite resilient, so I quite enjoyed it. Like I loved, learning new processes and meeting new people and like getting really under the hood, but also being like, I guess, a bit of an expert in my space, really.
Just
like
learning and continuing to grow, hey?
Yeah. And like, just saying it how it was, like this is how we used to do things, but being really adaptable to like, all right, now we've got to do things differently, and like what does the change management look like with the team and all of that kind of stuff.
That's so interesting that you talked about like adaptability. Have you always been able to just adapt to change and like kind of go with the flow and kind of take on new things that come your way? Is that a habit you've always had? Is that something you've learned to develop? What's that been like?
I think I've learned to develop it along the way, and I wouldn't say I'm adaptable to everything. Like I am also a creature of habit. So like I'll say that I really like change in one sort of environment, but maybe not in others. Yeah. It's an interesting one, but I think you don't want to be doing the same thing forever or being the same person. I think change personally and professionally, like in business, is really important. Like that's how I see growth, to be honest.
How have you managed change like personally as well in life? You've, I guess, from all the incredible things you've achieved and all the incredible things you've done, how have you kind of been able to like dissect all of that and just kind of pick it apart?
I think I've just gone with the flow, which again, particularly my family, if they're listening to this, know that maybe I don't really come across as going with the flow, but I've always sort of seen things as opportunities, I think. So, just trying to look at everything like an opportunity and
just kind of taking what comes your way, hey?
Yeah.
Like there's no set plan to it, just kind of taking it as it comes.
Yeah. like not having expectation, I think, is a big thing. Sort of going, all right, well, you know, maybe I'm not climbing in a corporate sense, and I'm not climbing a corporate ladder, like necessarily going from my job to the team leader to the manager to, you know, up, but sort of taking on everything and like, I don't know, like learning new skills or processes and things to like, I don't know, add skills to my tool belt or, you know, add skills to my resume.
I guess it kind of comes back to that adaptability thing that we talked about, of how you can just kind of go with the times and go with what is working and what's being more efficient. And I guess taking all of that upon, like, just taking it all in for learning is it kind of falls under that as well. Yeah,
definitely.
And we were talking about growth as well, and like just kind of growing within professional and personal life. How do you kind of, if I guess someone was just starting out in the industry and coming into their career, how would you tell them to look at growth? Because I think people sometimes coming into any like field of work and starting out, they have the thoughts of, oh, I feel a bit behind, or I want to try this, I want to do this, I want to grow a bit like faster into this specific role, or like try something new here. But it's kind of, it's a bit daunting coming into the industry of any kind and kind of putting yourself forward for anything. How would you kind of tell someone to go about just getting themselves in there and just being able to manage growth for themselves?
Yeah, I think growth is, I guess, different for everybody. Yeah. Like, I think, as I just mentioned, like some people just want the next role that's above them. And that's the only way that they view growth. Whereas I think if you take any sort of learning opportunities, that's still growth. It's not necessarily like your trajectory through the corporate ladder. I think anyone that's in the media industry knows how fast paced it is and how much you can grow if you view growth differently. I think my advice to anyone sort of coming on board would be building your personal brand, I think, is really important. And that's not like, you know, being at all the social events and network. Like, of course there's networking, but like really being curious and like asking other people in the kitchen, like, hey, like, what do you do? You know, tell me a bit about your role. And I guess like as people start to know who you are, like you're sort of building, I guess your own personal brand. I think that's super important.
I remember you've done, I think, a chat about personal branding.
I did.
How important do you think personal branding is?
I believe it's important. Like, I think I said at the beginning that, you know, one of my strengths is building relationships, and that was one of my points. I did do a presentation, thanks to you for sort of hooking that up with NGen for me to present. That was wild. But yeah, I think building your personal brand and sort of looking inwards and being sort of self-aware about how you kind of show up and all of that kind of stuff is so important.
Do you think personal branding is just as important externally as it is like internally as well?
100%.
Yeah. Does that have a big difference between the both, or are they both similar but just as important?
I am very big on being authentic at work and like showing up exactly, you know, how I am. Of course, there's things that like I would censor, and I mean, maybe not too many things, but like I'm a pretty open book, and you'd know that from being in the team. So for me, it's very similar, but I do know, obviously, depending on what role people are in, they might have to have a different personal brand. Or a personal brand and a professional brand, I guess.
And I guess it comes down to each person and kind of how they manage things for themselves, if that makes sense. We have previously chatted about imposter syndrome a bit. I feel like I heard it very briefly from you, and in the moment, I remember I can't remember the exact context, but I was asking you why you were hesitant to do something, and you said, oh, just a bit of imposter syndrome. And me looking at you in that moment, I was like, wait a second, there is no way you like get imposter syndrome, because I think you're such a big personality. I was like in my head, I was thinking, how are you getting imposter syndrome? Like it didn't make sense to me for a second. But how have you kind of managed imposter syndrome for yourself?
I think it is a big thing that I struggle with. And I think when I was younger, like I am a really confident person. I can come across as confident. And I think as I've gotten older, I definitely feel like little bits of insecurity every now and again. And I think that kind of plays into the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So I think what we were talking about was becoming a mentor.
Yeah, that was exactly what we were chatting about. That's correct.
And I think I just have to, again, view it in a different way. Like go, you know what, all I'm bringing is my own individual perspective, experience, etc., and not think that I'm going to go and mentor someone and have all of the answers and all of the tools. Because, I mean, even throughout my entire career, like I get so much energy from going to, you know, leadership workshops, and I always get really motivated by that. And I would love to like be a motivational speaker, you know, in another life, I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is a version of what I have in my head.
No, you're definitely the best type person. I've chatted to you sometimes. And I'm just like, I leave the conversation being like, that was a good chat.
Oh, see, and that's like, I guess everyone needs a little bit of feedback and, you know, something to make them feel good. And I think that it's important for me to remember that, I'm only going to be giving somebody my experience and if that helps me in any way. But imposter syndrome does cross my mind a bit. Like, I don't know specifically how I deal with it. Like I don't have like a ritual or a tool to be like, hey, you got this.
You got this,
But I think as Hayley, like my boss, she said to me, like, you underestimate yourself, you know? And I think it's really easy for us, most humans, to sort of downplay, like, you know, the value that they might bring to things or... So,
With imposter syndrome, do you find yourself being able to clock it quick when it's happening? Or is it like the moment where you have to like think about it for a second and be like, wait, what's happening right now? Like, how do you kind of clock it and then address it?
Like one example is, and I know that we're going to start to talk about my own podcast and how we got there, so I won't spoil the details there, but I remember when I was asked to start a podcast and I thought, can I swear on here?
I think so.
Okay, I won't swear. And I thought about... No.
I've never thought about it before. I've never done it before.
That's very interesting. Okay, trust me to be the first one to ask that. I remember when I first got asked to do a podcast and I thought to myself, how the hell will I do a podcast?
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that. Like, and I think we were chatting on the way here. Like, I've never been like a massive podcast listener. Like, I don't like listen.
Yeah, we're both saying this.
Yeah, like, you know, episode after episode for different podcast shows. So if someone recommends a podcast, then I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll listen to it. I love it. And I again get energy and like motivation off things that I'll listen to and take things from. So I think I've gone off on a tangent now, but
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think with imposter syndrome, even throughout your 10-year career, do you think it's been in a way helped you push yourself to like new limits? Like through all the changes and all the career growth you've had, do you think it's been like a silent push for you to kind of help you, I guess, put yourself out there a bit more and just like have a little more self-trust in just building yourself up?
Probably subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like I've never really thought about it. Like it doesn't take too much space in my thoughts. Like I don't like, overthink. And I am normally an overthinker about many things, but I don't overthink like I can't do it. I go, it's going to make me feel uncomfortable, like starting a podcast or presenting on, you know, personal branding and professional growth. Like, who am I to stand up in front of 200 people early in their media career and tell them about personal branding? But like, when I tell myself, I'm just speaking from my own experience, and if one person takes something from it,
for sure,
then fine.
I guess, I guess change is always a bit uncomfortable, isn't it? And like, there's so much that comes with change and so much feelings and so much head noise that can come when transitioning through anything. Mm-hmm. In regards to like your career growth and like, I guess, coming into like leadership roles and kind of transitioning into that space, how have you found, I guess, managing that side of the workforce and like transitioning into a new side that is like fresh and new and like in regards to like being within like a leadership space?
I don't really know per se. Like I think because I started in this industry in somewhat of a leadership role. Like, I think that's just how I've grown up in the industry, and I don't view myself as some senior person. Like, I think that everyone should be like treated equally, and I should be really clear on like what I'm doing, like not sort of hide things or be like, you don't need to know that. Like, I don't know.
It's actually so funny because I just introduced you as my boss and you were like, no, don't call me. Don't call me that.
I know, and it's funny because I know Hayley doesn't like to be called boss either, but I'm like, okay, well, what else do you sort of say? I don't know. Boss is, anyway.
Okay. with your career so far, do you still put goals for yourself and put things for the future that you want to work towards? How does that kind of work with the stage that you're at now?
Good question. We are like talking a lot about goals in our team and in the business at the moment. And I actually did have a conversation recently where I was like, honestly, I don't like go and write all of these goals. Like, I don't think I've ever written goals properly. I love ticking things off a to-do list. Like, that is honestly how I manage anxiety. Or like everything I need to do in my personal life, like everything has a list. It's wild. Don't ever look at my iPhone notes. But so I guess like my goals have sort of been like ticking things off that I know need to happen throughout the year, rather than like a big sort of, this is how I want to be and how am I going to get to be that, or it's not, I'm not, this is the role I want and these are the things I'm going to do to get there. Like, we have priorities and things that I know we need to do within the team, within my personal life, things that I want to do. I mean, like, is a goal read this many books this year, or is a goal like learn this, and how I'm going to achieve it is by reading X book? Like, so that's what I mean is, have I ever been writing goals correctly, or am I just really writing a to-do list and ticking it off because I love ticking things off?
Going with the flow and having what you have out there and just kind of going by that, rather than having like a 5-year plan or maybe a 10-year plan. Because I feel like I'm same in the way where I kind of love to just go with the flow and like take what comes my way and just see how it kind of works out.
Yeah.
I feel like,
I am like that. And I mean, I thrive off my job satisfaction, and my job satisfaction is helping people. So however that looks, like,
it comes in so many different forms, hey?
Yeah.
So especially in like personal life as well, from having the podcast and just from the personal things that happen in life and everything. It just that is like my partner Eduardo. He asked me, you know, he's big on like passion and goals and that kind of thing. And of course, at the end of last year or beginning of this year, we sort of sat down together and talked about things we wanted to achieve for the year. But he actually said, like, what's your passion? And I'm like, that's an
I've actually
question,
never really thought. Of course, I know what like gives me happiness and what like gives me joy, but I've never really thought about that and actually answered that.
That's really
and one of the things was helping people. And I guess like as a people leader at work, as like I'm part of the wellbeing committee, you know, through the podcast, like everything sort of does relate back to that.
Would you say that's a big thing that you've kind of always stood by throughout your whole career, just kind of taking opportunities that come your way?
Yeah, I like to be, what's that movie? Is it called Yes Man with Bruce Almighty?
I think so, yeah.
Is it? No, about two different movies. Anyway. Anyway, Yes Man. It is like my life has always been a little bit like that. Like, say yes to that. Say yes. Like, why not travel for 4 months alone in Europe? Why not go to South America for 10 months? Like, all of this stuff is like, yes, just do it. And I'm going to get life experience from it. And, you know, I guess it's the same at work. Like, put your hand up to be on that project. Say yes to being part of that committee.
Yeah.
Because again, it's about like, that's my own growth and that's the way I view it. Like, I don't need to necessarily have the next, you know, in terms of like an org structure, the next role above me. That's how I'm going to grow. I'm going to do different things.
Is that kind of how you tackle personal life as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it kind of comes together.
Yeah. Just go and have fun and like enjoy time with my family, enjoy time with my friends, like say yes to going out to the dinners and
kind of just going with the flow. Our favorite quote of the day, going with the flow.
Quote of the day. I know, going with the flow. And you know what? When you asked me at the beginning, like, tell us a bit about yourself or how would you describe yourself? Going with the flow would not be the first thing that I would say. So it's interesting that actually that is sort of what I well, at least I'm coming across as I do.
Yeah.
You know, like with everything else that I'm saying.
And I actually would have thought that you were kind of like, just from in the initial side, I would have thought you were like, I guess, had your structure and everything that you wanted to kind of go by, which I think you do have that as well.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so interesting to hear this other side of, you just kind of.
Yeah, in personal life, I have structure. Like, I want to do, Eduardo will laugh at this, the food shopping needs to be done on a Sunday. You know, like, organising, okay, these are the nights that we're home. This is what we're eating. Food shopping, we've got our list. And yesterday I forgot something that wasn't on the list and I was annoyed. I'm like, I didn't put it on the list. Yeah. You know, like, I'm so like list driven, and that's the way that when I'm going to the shops, I'm not getting stressed because I've got my list. Or like, you know, when I like to exercise most mornings, and if I don't go to the gym, I kind of get frustrated like a little bit throughout the day at myself more than anything. Yeah. But so, like I do value structure and routine. Absolutely. Like if I'm out of routine, I'm not a good human. Yeah. But I try.
Yeah. With routine and like, I guess, complexities and the things that just sometimes fly at you, how have you managed like that side of things, of like maybe sometimes you're not having the best day, or maybe sometimes things are just not going the way you'd like them to, or the day's it's just a rough day. How do you kind of go about that?
I think since going through a cancer diagnosis, I now give myself the space that I don't have to have a good day every day. Yeah. I learned that the hard way, unfortunately, but I'm still very hard on myself. I think I've mentioned a few times, like, I need a list for everything. Yeah. Like, what do I need to do for work today? What do I need to prioritize? What do I need to get from, you know, the supermarket? You know, what, not to the same extent, but like, okay, I need to pay a bill or something this week. Like, you know, my personal to-do list. But also, kind of try to be kind to myself. And I'm working on that. Yeah, like that's a really tough one. I'm very hard on myself if I've missed the gym, or, you know, something hasn't gone right at work, or, you know, all of those little things that get
just
to
kind
everyone.
Of reminding yourself that things are workable, things work themselves out.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think transitioning a bit into, we talked about personal branding a bit and, you know, who you are as a person. So you have your own podcast called The Big C, which basically covers incredible stories, people's journeys with cancer. What was your main inspiration and like motivation behind starting that?
So I was diagnosed with breast cancer on the 7th of March 2023, which is literally, you know, the anniversary is nearing. And through that journey, from the very beginning, I made a decision. I was living in Melbourne at the time and moved back to Sydney where my family are to go through all my treatment. And I made a very quick decision to be really open about my journey.
How did you decide on that? Sorry to interrupt.
No.
Like, what made you want to be very open about it? Because I feel like with cancer, sometimes it's such a big like topic of discussion. Yeah, like some people don't know how to ask about it, or some people, people don't really know how to ask questions about it, or kind of go about it in that way. What made you think that that's what you want to do? Like, what was the motivation behind that part of it?
I'm a pretty open book generally, and always have been. But I thought it was really important. Like, I was 33 at the time, and no one really in my circle of friends, or like various circles of friends, had gone through this. So, and breast cancer being quite a common cancer among mostly females, but also males, within Australia, like I thought, you know what, I'm just going to be really open. So while I was going through all the treatment, I, you know, had chemo, had radiation, had surgery, had immunotherapy, you know, lost my hair, had to wear a wig. Like, there was all different parts to my journey. We won't go fully into the detail, but if anyone wants to listen, there are a couple of episodes just about my story and the Big C. But I started a Facebook group where I literally shared in such detail about what had happened, how I felt that day. And I thought that was really important, because I say, like, it meant I didn't have to write back to everyone's message, but I still did write back to everyone's messages all the time. It was a way where everyone could sort of read and feel how I was feeling at the time. So there was that. So through that, 9 or maybe 6 months it was, sharing on that group, and a few things on my Instagram where like people that weren't within that group were. So, lots of people knew about it. But then it was October and it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I was asked to speak at our company town hall. So at the time there was about 900 employees. And I literally had gotten out of hospital the day before the town hall, but I had written my speech and I stood up there in front of everyone with my headscarf on and just talked about my journey and what had happened. And that was like one of the bravest moments of my life, I think.
Incredible.
But after that, I sort of posted a couple of things on LinkedIn, and then Nikki, who's now my co-host, she reached out and said, "Hey, I'm in Sydney. You and I grab a coffee? I work in the cancer space." And initially, I was like, "Oh, like." You think on Marketplace, on LinkedIn, you get those marketing messages. But I wrote back to Nikki and we went for a coffee in North Sydney. We walked around the block a couple of times, and right at the very end, she goes, "So I'm thinking of starting a podcast and I want you to be my co-host." And that was when I first remember getting imposter syndrome going.
Was that your first time meeting her as well in person?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We spoke on the phone and then we met in person that day. We instantly connected, and we come from like different worlds, but like we just connected, and that was, I don't know, maybe the November or something. And then the following April we started recording. Wow. So 2024 we started recording for the Big C, very much amateur, sort of doing it all virtually because I was living in Melbourne. I was back in Melbourne by that point. So she was in Sydney, I was in Melbourne, and we have like most of our episodes we actually have a guest on where we chat to them, whether they've been diagnosed themselves or they come from a carer's perspective. In some cases even like a medical professional, like we had my surgeon on last season. But the connection is that Nikki lost her late partner to cancer, and she works in the cancer space, like sort of working with professional like companies to talk to them about how they deal with employees that might have been diagnosed or if they're going through caring. So we come from a different perspective. And because we had different people wanting to be guests and we wanted different people, we do it all virtually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So would you say the motivation behind starting it would be, I guess, both of your personal journeys and I guess you guys meeting and having that instant connection? Do you think that's what, I guess, originally kicked off Big C?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. And I think we kind of like looked and there was a little bit maybe of a gap. There's all different podcasts, like Leukemia Foundation might have one or Breast Cancer Network might have one. But we really wanted to, create a platform where, people could come and share their story. Yeah. And even if just one person felt seen or heard, and it could make a difference to them because cancer impacts 1 in 2 people within Australia, which is wild.
Wow. And with sharing people's journeys and stories and even sharing your own journey, how have you found that process of like getting like really vulnerable with people's journeys and even your own journey, and how have you found that side of it?
Really cathartic, actually. Like I will maybe be having like a really tough time, and then someone like my loved ones might be like, I think like just give the podcast a break. And I'm like, no, like that's like, I feel like talking to somebody else about their, what they've gone through, their experience, and then at the same time sort of talking about mine. I find that actually really cathartic, really.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know. It's like my way of therapy, I guess.
And you're on season 3 now as well, hey?
Yeah.
Wow. And with sharing people's journeys, do you find that exactly, I guess, do you relate directly to people? Because I guess the Big C, what revolves around it is people's journeys with cancer. Do you find yourself relating a lot to the stories people tell and the journeys, and I guess just hearing all the different things that you have been hearing?
Mm-hmm. There is so much that I relate to, particularly like one common thing that always comes up with my guests is the health anxiety that never goes away, really, or like, may diminish over time, but like, and I deal with that day to day. Like, you go through this. I had 12 months from diagnosis to when I finished treatment, 12 months of like grueling, and you know, some people have worse treatment than I had to go through, but like grueling treatment where I'm so focused on what appointment do I have today, to like then flipping to this like mental what happened during that time, you know? So I relate a lot on that perspective. Like, and I mean, having people that have been carers for loved ones, like that also like hits my heart, because I think about my family and my friends and everyone that sort of went through everything with me. But yeah, it's definitely like, I wouldn't say it's a niche topic. It's not a niche topic. It's just like, people aren't like going to listen to the podcast because like, woo, like this will be a fun one today. Like Nikki and I have a lot of fun when we just chat and bounce things off each other and get really in the nitty gritty of the detail. Like I probably TMI sometimes, but that's what it's there for.
That's what it's about. Okay. And we were chatting about vulnerability. Oh, the cut is just so funny, isn't it? Guys, we took a little break.
I get it. No.
We took a little break and we're cutting back into the spot now. But yeah, we were chatting about vulnerability and sharing that for yourself and people's journeys. What have you learned, I guess, about yourself through being able to share people's journeys and stories? And yeah, what's the main takeaways you've taken for yourself from 3 seasons of the Big C to everything that you've been through and everything that you've done? What's the main takeaways you've kind of been able to dissect from that?
Well, that's a tough one. What have I learned most about myself? Oh, nothing I didn't know. Like I've always been pretty vulnerable, pretty open. I've learned a lot, like, you know, about podcasting and about how to be prepared and like ask the right questions and stuff. Like we're only just about to kick off season 3. So stay tuned for us sounding hopefully even better this season. But just like every story that we share like has so much heart and is so important. And like, I don't know, like you kind of, I want to say I've learned like, you know, I already knew like life is precious. Like when you're sort of faced with what I believed was going to be my own mortality, like as grim as that sounds, like I want to be like, like I live every day and I'm still human, right? I'll still get frustrated in traffic and that kind of thing. But from sharing the stories, like I've learned it's my passion, helping people, providing that platform.
That's a huge thing,
It's a lot of work. I mean, Nikki and I have full-time jobs. She's got 2 kids, like finding the time that suits not only both of us, but a guest and sorting everything out. And it's not just the recording. I mean, you would know, like you've got to get the studio and then edit and all of that stuff that comes with it. So it's a big commitment, but it's, and you know, we don't get paid for it or anything like that. So it's definitely a passion project and something that I'm really, really proud to do, because I think we've had such good feedback and like people
and sharing such like an incredible message as well. And then I've listened to a few episodes as well and seeing the guests that you get on, and it makes it all worth it, doesn't it? When it's all done and out there and you know that a message is being sent, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Just one person that might message us and be like, hey, thanks so much for what you're doing. Like I've listened to this, or I felt like this. It's just, I don't know, like I'm not an influencer and like it's not like a million people are reaching out to me all the time or anything, but just that like even once a week or once a fortnight is like, oh, okay, like I've made a difference to someone's journey or someone's experience, whether they're a carer, whether they've been diagnosed, whether they're trying to support a friend that has like, I don't know, like we don't have all of the tools and answers and like medical advice, and it's just based off experience.
And I feel like what's so great about, I guess, the Big C is it's about sharing people's journeys. So it doesn't like, I guess, really have to have a real structure or like precision to it. It's just about sharing someone's journey and sharing your own journeys and being able to offer some insights. And I feel like that's a big thing to it as well. Hey.
Yeah. So people feel seen, heard.
No, 100%. Yeah. And I guess with having the podcast and also, like you said, mentioning the point where you said you work full time and you have the podcast. I guess what similarities or differences do you see between, I guess, those 2 different, I guess, paths you've taken? Do you see similarities or
in work and the podcast? The similarities for me are, I guess, having to be super organized. Like I feel, and I'm quite an organized person anyway, but having to be really organized and like knowing like what do I need to do for the podcast, or if I'm at work, like what do I need to achieve today. And I guess like being authentic in both, like I turn up to work and I'm really authentic and just transparent about almost everything. And same with the podcast, like want to make people feel comfortable. And I think.
Yeah, it all intertwines a bit, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it does.
For sure. Like even with work for myself, I see so much similarities with, I guess, just the structure part of it. It's a big thing, hey.
Yeah.
A big thing, hey.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm so proud of you doing your own podcast as well.
I'm proud of you for doing your own podcast.
Thanks, stop. I love it.
With the podcast and reflection, how have you kind of, I guess, reviewed reflection upon the podcast and the growth it's had and the things you guys have chatted about? How do you guys continually like develop on that?
I guess subconsciously, like we don't have like a reflection session, but I think we've really learned a lot. Like we're still very much amateur. Like, I mean, we're just doing it all of ourselves. And that's, we did have a conversation at the end of last year. And I think that that's the way that we want to keep it for now, because it's in our control when we're available, what we want to do, etc.
Yeah. And we were chatting about, like, even off camera, we were chatting about we wouldn't want to bring in like external editors or things like that, because we're so like specific about how we want it to come out.
Exactly.
And that plays a big part as well, hey?
Yeah. But I think like, and it does tie back to the conversation that we've had about career growth and all of that.
Yeah.
Like we've learned so much from when we started. Like I don't really want to go back and listen to the first episode, but it felt very much like we had to re-record a couple, right? Like because it was very much like an interview that didn't really sound genuine.
Yeah.
So then we kind of went off on a path of like, let's just see where the conversation goes.
Yeah.
And that has worked in our favor most of the time. But there has been times where it's kind of just gone way off track, and it's just for a listener. Like the story is super important, etc. But for a listener, they need to be able to follow along.
Yeah.
So, and we had this like bit of an aha moment where we're like, you know what, we actually need to do better preparation. We went to South by Southwest last year. We took a lot of notes from that and a lot of things that we learned. And, you know, we had this like document where we put all of these things in, like, you know, where we want to grow. And then we decided we're just going to focus on a couple of things. So we did a rebranding session.
Yeah.
You know, we just tweaked our logo, or one of my friends tweaked our logo. You know, we got refreshed photos. Another one of my friends, so thanks to Nat and Emma for helping us with the rebrand.
Shout out Nat and Emma.
Yeah, beautiful gals. And, you know, we sort of launched a bit of a rebrand. And so...
kind of keeps it fresh as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and just... a bit more consistency. Like I'm not a social media marketing gal. Like I am in operations and, you know, follow process. Like everyone thinks, oh, you work at oMedia. Oh, cool. Like, so what creatives do you look at? I'm like, no. Like, you know what I mean? So I might work in media, but I don't have this creative background.
So two different sides, isn't it?
Completely. But it's actually been quite fun, like to think about how we want to put things on social media and I don't know, leverage off LinkedIn and use Canva for different things. And I don't know, we've learned a lot about the way that we need to sort of host and you know, be a bit more strategic, I guess, this year. Like,
that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You chatted about your first ever episode. When you think back to that time when you guys were just starting up, I guess, how do you view that? Like, how do you look at that? Do you view it as like, wow, we've come so far? Like, how do you view yourself then to now? Like, what differences do you see?
Yeah, we have come so far. Sometimes when Nikki and I just record together, it's actually really easy for us to do that and like just go back and forth between the two of us.
Yeah.
When we have a guest, which is obviously our main sort of focus, which we love, sometimes knowing who's going to ask the next question, or, you know, like it's like a bad Teams call sometimes. Like you're like, oh, sorry, no, you go, that kind of thing. Whereas when you're in person with someone, you can see body language and go straight away. Well, that might work in some cases for our guests, but not all.
Yeah.
So it's just really learning that and like knowing, oh, okay, like we've just got to go with the flow here.
Yeah.
Go with the flow again.
Quote of the day.
That was like not even planned. But yeah, we've come so far and I'm really proud. Like I can't wait this has really got me excited for like us recording season 3 and really kicking that off. But yeah, it's all learning, right?
There's so much that comes with it as well. And you don't just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
One would say go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Hot tip to everyone. Just go with the flow. See where life takes you.
Go with the flow.
Live your best life.
Do it. Before we wrap up, what do you want your message to be? Like, what message do you want to share across the big C? How do you want to share that? Like, what's the goal with all of that? And I guess with the corporate side of things that you do as well, like, what's the plans?
I would say for me personally, like I've been battling a lot of health anxiety recently. So for me, I really want to remain in good health.
Yeah.
And I, through the wellness committee at work and that kind of thing, I really want to drive wellness and, happiness at work and all of that kind of stuff. And through the podcast, like I really just want to like better myself in, I guess, interviewing and like hosting and having people on and making sure that like clear messages go across and grow the podcast in a pace that suits Nikki and I. Not put pressure on ourselves. And just focus on just living a really happy life. Like
the best.
Yeah, I moved back to Sydney for love. And so, Eduardo, he's from Uruguay. Like I really want to get over there. I want to learn my Spanish.
Travel a bit.
Yeah, there's just like lots of things that I want to get like all of that done in the next couple of years and
just living your best life.
Live my best life. I was living my best life just before I got diagnosed. I was living it when I finished treatment. I'm living it now. But I want to make sure that, the health anxiety and all that stuff doesn't creep up on me too much. So just controlling what I can control really in all aspects.
That's all we can do, hey? Just kind of, taking things as they come and controlling each day as it goes, hey? Yep,
exactly.
I'm proud of you.
Proud of you.
This may or may not be the second ending we're recording. You'll never know.
Exactly.
Again, I want to say a big thank you for coming on, Sammy. If you guys want to catch Sammy on, I guess, all the platforms, I'm going to put some links on Instagram and share all of that fun stuff so you guys can listen to the Big C, check out her Instagram, check out her LinkedIn, all the stuff. Again, Sammy, a big, big thank you for coming on. I hope you had fun being on a podcast other than your own so far.
Yeah, thank you. It's been so nice sitting in the studio with you and seeing the way that you run Talk the Talk. I love it.
Before we finish up, what's it been like, I guess, your first podcast experience other than the Big C?
Nice perspective to be on this side. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Love it.
It's weird not wearing headphones. I'm so used to wearing my headphones and having the mic in front of me.
Do you hear yourself talk with headphones?
Or sometimes if audio is bad. So anyway, not all the time. Yeah.
Perfect. Again, Sammy, thank you for coming on. This was such a fun time.
Thank you so much for having me.